Okay. Here you go.
Hi everyone, welcome to SUG Columbus July session. Today we are having a session from Rob. Rob is famously known as Sidecore runner in our Sidecore community. He is a Sidecore MVP since 2018. He has been working as a Sidecore engineer at RBA. Currently he is based out of Chicago. He has multiple years of Sidecore experience with several clients. Let's hear from him about Content Hub and social media integration. Over to you, Rob.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. So let me get started here. You start sharing my screen. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, I didn't want to go too deep into the Content Hub, but still give you like kind of an overview of it a little bit. And then we'll concentrate on a little bit how the social media integration works and all that stuff. So one of the things, if you've never seen Content Hub before, you want to make sure that you have like a sandbox set up. For me, I was an MVP, so they gave me credit, like a 5-day credit. Otherwise, I think it's a charge of $350 a month or something like that, just for the sandbox. So keep that in mind. So if you do get access to it, you want to make sure you shut it down when you're not using it. And you just do that from the portal here, the Create Style Labs. And then they have this option here to stop the container. So yeah, the charge is to put the credit card on hold. So if you stop it, theoretically you wouldn't be charged for it. So just only when you actually using it. So wanted to start with that. So when you do log into your sandbox, or you have a production content hub, but it's the same thing, you'll see something like this. You'll see an intro, just like a little splash screen, a search, and depending on your access, you'll have products, content, assets, collections, private print, so review, DRM. So I have like the full access. So I created the sandbox myself, so I'm the full admin. But important parts here are the assets. So this is going to be your content, your images, and then there's also going to be campaigns, which I'll cover as well. We'll start with the images though first, and I'll show you how that works. So similar to how I did this before, I wanted to ask the audience, just so you know, I don't have this all like video. It's like real time. This is actually going to work. Like, can someone give me an idea of some kind of image?
A dog or something?
A dog? We can do a dog. We find a dog here. So let's do a chocolate lab. Those are my favorites. All right, let's do this guy. Let's see here. Let's call it chocolate lab. Okay, so downloaded. Okay, so the assets are what's approved right now. So there is a workflow that you have to go through to get any kind of asset in here. And right now I'm just using the out of the box workflow, but you can definitely change it the way you want to. It's still kind of limited. It was I will tell you that it's kind of geared toward images. So when we get into like the blog stuff and blogs and white paper stuff like that, it's a little bit needs some tweaking. So, but we can check that out later. So I'm gonna just upload the file we just downloaded. Let's go to pictures. Chocolate lab here. So when anything first uploads here, it's just gonna show this little blank thing here. You refresh it after a while, it'll appear. But in the meantime, there's this button here that says submit for approval. So since normally this would be your typical workflow setup, so you might have someone else who submits it and then someone approves it and so on and so forth, but I'm going to do all that. So submit asset for approval, and let me know if you can't see my screen, if it's too small or so as well, so I can zoom in.
It looks good.
It's good. Okay, so now I sent it for approval. So it disappears from here, and now it's going to go over to review. So there's a chocolate lab, and so now you got this approve or you got reject. So we're going to approve it. Now he's gone, and now he should appear in the assets. So there he is. Couple things you want to do once you have the asset here is you want to create a public link. So let's do that. Let's see. Oops, direct link. There is a direct link to it, sorry. But there's a way to, you got the little chat thing in there. There we go. All right. So you want to do public links. Just save it. And this changed from last version. So if you're used to a different version, it usually just went right into public links. Okay, so now it's going to create this public link. So that's created. You can copy it. If you copied it, there it is. I will tell you, and I'll probably bring this up again, is you probably don't want to link directly to the Content Hub. From what I understand, it's not recommended. So the best thing is to always have the image. You leave the Content Hub as the repository, but that image should be hosted on whatever platform that you're using it as. So there's no cloud charges or anything like that, linking directly to the Content Hub. So let's open this. And let's see here. Where are these? So you're going to add tags, product details. It's supposed to have little tags here. Let me see if they're in the other image. Make sure. Okay. Well, normally I have a selection there that I can show you where it gets uploaded, but let me see if I can get those back.
It might be here to click on edit next to overview.
I think you're right. Yep, there they are. Thank you. See, happens in a demo. All right, so now I got this Twitter and LinkedIn. So what's going to happen is as soon as I select this, I have a trigger that will call an action, and that's going to call a third-party web methods UI that's going to do all the magic. But let's start with clicking these. Click save. All right, so that's going to be processed. So hopefully, if it worked, we'll see it on my Twitter here eventually. There we go. There it is on my Twitter. Now LinkedIn, I set that up a little bit different, but let me show you how that'll work. So LinkedIn, I just made it simple. I just did it a link to the actual asset. So It links directly to that. But in Twitter, it's actually hosted by Twitter. And I'll show you the differences in between that. But let me go into the Content Hub real quick. Show you the trigger and the action. So right now, and then those fields I showed you where I clicked off, those are custom fields. So I set that up, and basically what happens is this is the trigger setup, description, entity modification. So the entity is the actual asset. So anytime that changes the entity, this is going to trigger. It's going to run in the background. We have my conditions. So there's a variety of conditions. This one's simple. So if the current value changes to checked, then it's going to fire this trigger off. Then you got actions. And so this is the important part here. This action is going to call this action called Twitter upload. And this Twitter upload action has this address, which is a webhook that's going to go into this third-party system called webmethods.io. And I'll show you how that works. But let me show you the action real quick here. Go back. So here's the action. It looks similar. So it's an API. It's set up as an API call, and then here's that webhook. And then it has a timeout, post. Various things. The LinkedIn one's set up the same way. And you don't have to send in headers in this case. I'll show you how it works. But and then we'll go into the WordPress one a little bit later. So it has a trigger, it has the action. But now one of the things when I first did Content Hub, I thought this stuff was built in, but it isn't. And this second part here is where you go into web methods. Show that. Okay, so to get into web methods, it's webmethods.io. So if you want to have an account, it's pretty easy. And hold on here, let me relog in. The server's not down, shouldn't be. Right, so let's open this. And the nice thing about web methods, it's free. So if you can get a development license, and it's free. And there is web methods is not the only thing that does this. There's logic apps with Azure is one of them. There's some other ones Microsoft does. But web methods is one of the ones I really liked, and it just seemed like it had the most flexibility. So you can create a container, and then you can have all your different various link ups and stuff. So let's just go into Twitter. We'll start that one. Go to edit. So one of the cool things about this whole thing is that you can test it in here. So you need access to your Content Hub, but at the same time, everything can be tested as well in here. So you can actually run this kind of like logically, but let me go through it first here. So you're going to create a webhook, and you want to give it this body tag, this target ID. So the target ID is going to correspond to an asset that's in Content Hub. So in this case, it's 30485, which if you look at any of, if you do your Content Hub API entities and then enter that number, it'll come back with all this like a JSON But from there, so you get that information. So it runs that. So when you get into the next step, this get asset information, you can actually get that information that came from there. So in this case, I'm grabbing the target ID. So here's my entity, I got my target ID. So then it's like, hey, it's going to build this entity. So in here. So here's your target ID. So that's going to be everything. When you first set this up, you put one in there just so you can test it. And when you test it, it actually knows what fields that are coming back. So, so in this case, there's a token. Let me go show you that real quick too. If you go to settings, so any of these guys, they have this key next to it. And all you have to do is you would click on it and then you can generate a new token. And WebMethods uses that token to get into the Content Hub. So this is the stuff that's coming back from the previous step. And then now you got your output. You want a status code of 200. So here's all the response text. So this is basically what you see here. And this runs, now you got all these fields. So you're like, great, I got all these fields, it worked. So then you go to the next step. The next step is going to be download file. Now, this part kind of goes back to, do you want it to be hosted in the cloud or do you want to be hosted on Content Hub? And from what I understand, the recommendation is make sure it's hosted in the usually what you're using it for. I mean, you can host it in if you need in the Sitecore Hub if you need to, but the recommendation is to host it in whatever social media or Salesforce or whatever. So what this is going to do, there's a link in here that came back from that entity that we saw. This is where it grabs all that stuff. So you can drill down. So this gets all generated from previously. You can drill down, see what's there. If there's any fields you need. So that's basically all this is. So here's the reference. Here's the file name. The login to Content Hub. So again, then it runs. And you got your output. It says, okay, here's what I have. So in this case, in the example I used, one of the assets was this Dodge Challenger. So here's a file path for it to download it. So it gets it from Content Hub, puts it locally into the WebMethods virtual drive. And then now you can download it or upload it to Twitter, which is the next step. So one of the cool things I liked about WebMethods is that they have all these connectors, and one of them obviously being Twitter. But if you search, they have like Salesforce. They have a YouTube, which doesn't quite work yet, but got Amazon obviously here. But they have all these different web connectors, which is really cool. So this one's going to be simple. This is going to upload an image. You can do other things like reply to a tweet, retweet, post tweet. This is just a simple upload image. And kind of same thing. Here's the stuff from the previous. Okay, so now I need to know where the file path is. And then on the tweet, I'm going to put a title. The same thing. Well, I guess there's no output on this because it's the last step, but so yeah, it grabs it and then uploads it. And what we can do, so you can run, obviously you trigger this from the Content Hub and that works just fine, but you can also run it from here. So I'm going to do that real quick. So there's a little button. So it says workflow testing started. So it'll highlight each step that it's on. And then when it's done, that's it. So it says workflow testing completed. There is like a log that also gets generated. The cool thing about the log is, and I found this out. So in this version of Content Hub I found out the target ID moved. And in the log I said, I can't find the target ID. So I'm like looking where it is, where is it at? And then I looked at the entity for the asset and then found out that indeed it had moved. So I had to change this part here. So now if we went to my Twitter, if that worked, hopefully. You should see, yep. So there's a Dodge Challenger. So that ran, I had that asset in here in Content Hub. So that automatically ran, grabbed it from the Content Hub and then posted it. So pretty straightforward on that. So that's the Twitter one. And I got a LinkedIn one here. So the LinkedIn one was going to be a little bit different. That one. Let me zoom out a little bit here. Let's move these up. There, zoom in. Okay. Twitter one, or I mean the LinkedIn one, it's going to be similar. You're going to have your webhook. You're going to send the target ID. That part's the same. Same thing, going to get asset information just like Twitter. It'll give you the output. You know, here's what gets returned. So I'll do the same thing. The difference is it's just going to get the public link. Grabs that URL. And it's going to download the file. Same thing, and then upload it again. So that part of an integration image is the same, but there's another one I wanted to show you. No, it is the one. Okay. So this one, yeah. Sorry, I'm jumping around here, but this one doesn't actually use this download file. It actually uses the public link instead. So if we get to the end step, it'll just share a link instead. So that's why you see the URL, the public link, when we went to LinkedIn. So we saw this instead. So this links directly to the Content Hub. So that's another way to do this. YouTube would be similar. You'd want to download the video and then use the public link, or upload it into YouTube. Let's see, what else could I show you here? So actually, I do want to get into the WordPress integration next, but let me just show you one thing here. Let's go back to edit here. Let's go back to the Twitter integration here. Let's do this giraffe. Do this on the last one, but a couple things here. I want to save it. Okay, I'm going to edit. I'm going to save this again. So now this should kick off. So hopefully this will work. You should see this start running. Yep, and there it goes. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but it highlights steps. And then it kicks off. And then, so that was kicked off by the Content Hub, but I can watch it happening real time in web methods. And so hopefully that worked. And then we'll see a picture of the statue here. Or not the statue, I did the giraffe. So there's a giraffe. So it's one way. There's one way to do social media interaction with LinkedIn and Twitter. Now, there's also the campaign part of the Content Hub. I wanted to go into that a little bit. Started a campaign, called it Supernatural. So now I got some assets here, but I want a new one. I'm gonna do a new blog. Select it as a blog. All right, and we're going to save it here. All right, let's go into it. Okay. Add an image. Let's get our chocolate lab in there. This is public link. All right. So this trigger is a little bit different. So this one's gonna trigger off the workflow. So go trigger off the workflow. You have a blog here in Content Hub, but you might have an external blog site like I do. I have my Psycho Runner one. If you look at my posts, here's some posts I have. This is from my last Content Hub demonstration. So going back to, okay, I want a blog and I want Content Hub to be the starting point, but when I'm done with it, I want it to go into this other system. So back over here to hit start. It's gonna, there's a trigger. You're gonna start, send for review, and then we're gonna approve it. It's gonna confirm. And once that's done, it might be a few seconds here, minutes. And to show up. There you go. So there it is. Now this is in draft mode. So if we clicked into it, it should say draft. Hopefully it didn't get published. And then there's title. There's a chocolate lab dog that we did. And now it's in my own WordPress. So if I wanted to publish it, I can. And it's hosted by WordPress. It's not hosted by the Content Hub. So let's go to the trigger for this one. This trigger is going to be similar to what you've seen before with the other ones, but you know, slightly different, but same conditions. Well, same conditions, but it's triggered differently. Sorry. So we're going to check it with the blog, and then once any of the values is final or done or ready to publish or whatever, it's going to kick off the action. Same thing. There's a WordPress action. So it'll do that, kick that off, and then that webhook is going to go into the web methods, and I'll show you the one for WordPress here. And this is similar to the other ones, except it's using a blog instead. Show you here. So same thing. Here's the webhook, target ID. The difference is when this one comes back, the asset information is going to look different because this type of asset, you still use that entity, So we go here, look at the target ID, the entities are the same, but the difference is it's going to come back as a blog instead of an image. So you still get the response text and all that. Blog, and it has extra fields that you normally wouldn't see in the image asset. So then same thing. So now we got this information. Here's all the blog information, and here's this nice integration for WordPress that's in the web methods. And this one's going to be simple. It's going to create a new post. And it's just going to use blog title and the blog body. And the nice thing about this, so it's going to make it a draft. So, you know, you can obviously publish it right out of there, but you know, it's something you probably don't want to do. And then you can do your categories. I just put Sitecore Content Hub and then tags Content Hub. Then here's the output. It's just gonna, here's a URL, Sitecore Runner, WordPress, and all the stuff that gets sent to it. So this is like the test one, but the one we just created, yeah, would run the same way. So that's pretty much it for WordPress. Let's see. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. So everything's going to be different, but hopefully this gives you kind of like an idea of how this stuff works. It's not something that's going to work out of the box, but with these extra like tools here, it makes it a lot easier to integrate it. And pretty much anything on the Content Hub will come back as a JSON, so you do have all that information that you need to interact with these third-party tools. So it does make it easier. It's fast. It's pretty simple to do. But yeah, that's kind of part of the Content Hub and part of one way you can do social media interaction. Now, any questions?
Hey, Rob. Yes, that's awesome. So I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
I would also want to give opportunity to other people in the audience to ask questions. But I'll go first. You did mention that MVPs get some time in the Content Hub, 5 hours or something. Is that 5 hours is actually total hour, or you have just
You get 5 days. So
sorry, 5 days? Yeah.
yes, they give you it says 5 days. So they gave me a credit. This hasn't changed, so I don't know, but they gave you $50 credit.
Okay.
That was my question too before, and I don't think it's, from what I can tell, it's accumulative from hours. So like if you turn it on and turn it off real quick, it won't charge you for the whole day.
Okay.
So as far as I can tell, it hasn't. I still have my credit left, and I've worked in here for a while. So
Okay.
yeah, so hopefully
Yeah.
not. I mean, because yeah, I do want to use it. And you know, unfortunately, you can't just do a sandbox without paying something. But
Right.
my recommendation is always just turn it off when you're done with it.
Right. It's kind of like, how cloud works, right? I mean, basically, you use it, you pay for that.
Yep.
You use it.
And I was a little hesitant too, because it like asks for your credit card right away, and it says 350. So I'm like, well, I don't want to be charged 350 right now. So,
Okay.
but it just like puts it on hold, so you still get the credit and stuff. So
Okay. But what is the process, for a MVP? How do they know, I am MVP and then I am allowed to get that credit?
I had to go through Tomas to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so he set me up, and then he communicates with Rich from Sitecore, and he's like their content hub guy. So
Okay.
and one of the other things too, I would say too, so this is, you can create as many sandboxes as you want. But like my company, they have a couple sandboxes, and they started doing the content hub earlier, so they had like 3 something. So like I was doing a lot of the beta training, and I noticed like some things changed. So you kind of want to make sure you have the latest version.
Hmm.
You can either create a new sandbox, or you can try to ask Sitecore to upgrade. It's not guaranteed though; it'll save all your assets from the upgrade.
Okay.
But they are changing this and updating it constantly, and it's traditionally in Sitecore you have access to the code, but in Content Hub you don't really have that kind of access.
Right.
So
It's a
Yes.
cloud
To,
environment. That
to
thanks.
add on to that, Hima, if you guys are partners, you get more credits, and you can actually create like a group, what he was saying right now. So that is also sometimes much better, because you can share, stop sandboxes, and use your credits based on what you guys are consuming. Well, I know
Right.
you guys are partners, yeah. So
Yeah. So I know that part, but I was wondering that what is the process for MVP. So yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of nice. We do get that benefit to go
Right.
in there. Yep.
Okay. I see that Sumit, you added some comment in the chat. You want to talk about that?
oh, this was good. Actually, this is amazing. I was thinking, so a lot of people have been asking these type of use cases, like they'd like to integrate with something. And Rob did a very good job showing third party how you can do it. I just was saying that, for maybe a future session, you can tap into GraphQL, because when you did a HTTP request to the entity API, there's a lot of information that comes back. But if you are building your web WordPress site based on an entity model, you can just use a GraphQL API to get those data. So,
that's a good idea. I like that idea.
Enhancing your demo, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's definitely more than one way to do this, and yeah, you do get a lot of stuff back. So there's it'd be nice to, like when I first did this, I had to sift through a lot of the JSON. I'm like, all right, what fields do I need, and what don't I need, and which fields should I go after? Because you do get a lot of, when you look at these things, you get
That's the problem with REST, right? I mean, it returns everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it's quick, but it gives you everything. So
right.
And just be careful, like I said, like with you want to make sure you know what's being sent. Like when this broke, it actually gave me a log and said, I can't find the target ID. I think I have. Let's see if I have. Thought I had an example of a log here. Maybe.
So while you're searching, I just wanted you to elaborate. I wasn't sure what you meant by not a recommendation to use public links.
Yep. Yeah, so the public links, when I was talking to somebody, I think he might have been from Sitecore, it's Content Hub. You can use public links to link anything to Content Hub, but the recommendation was, if you're using Twitter or Salesforce or anything like that, it's better to upload into those systems and let those host it and take the fees or whatever. I mean, Twitter doesn't charge you for hosting images, but Content Hub, you're hitting the Content Hub then every time you're hitting that image versus Twitter.
But
so
public links are CDN'd, I think, at least 8 times. So I think for your blog example, it completely make sense to go back to a public link. Maybe for Twitter and LinkedIn, it could be a way around.
Yeah, and there's like Salesforce has that Social Studio, I think it's called. So like you have all these, you have Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever assets. So a smart integration would be put that all into, keep it in Content Hub, but put it into Salesforce as a draft or whatever. So Salesforce then manages the publishing and all that, and the analytics for that, because the analytics is something else too in Content Hub, turning that on. So communication back and forth between Twitter. From what I understand, the settings on it, I haven't tried it, but it's not easiest to set that up as well. So that's something to consider if you do.
Yeah. So that was like, I thought that was one of my questions actually when you talked about not hosting in like, Content Hub. I guess like, that as Sumit said, like, ultimately it goes through the CDN. And I guess this is case by case. The one you said like, it makes sense if you want to push it to WordPress or Twitter, you can certainly upload there because then you have that option. So yeah.
There's definitely more than one ways. Yeah. And this is an example log that you'll see in web methods. I don't know if I could.
Two are small like this. Yeah.
Yeah. So like when stuff breaks, it'll actually tell you like, hey, this is what I was getting sent, or this is what, coming from Content Hub. So it's kind of nice that it interacts with that. And what I understand, the web methods is going to be a Sitecore partner. So so that part's not going away. So this stuff is pretty cool. But like I said, there's Azure Logic apps and some other programs that do the same things. But one of the first examples I saw, even though I couldn't get to work, was the YouTube integration with this. So, but it has all these connectors to try, and this part here, the web methods and the get asset information, is going to be pretty much the same no matter what. But then, maybe you have some other place that you want to upload it to, Dropbox, Evernote, I don't know. So, but it has just a bunch of different places. And my problem with YouTube wasn't working is because my credentials. So I don't know. You need an API key. So like for Twitter, you need like an API key, developer's key, and that was easy to set up. For whatever reason, Google doesn't work as well. So, but yeah.
Well, I want to ask anyone else has any questions. We are not the only one to.
Yeah, guys, Maulik here. I have a quick question.
Sure.
So when you are uploading an image, you created a public link. Will it be similar for PDF as well? Because we are facing some issue with one of our client for that.
Yes, I believe so.
The challenge what we are seeing is when we are uploading the PDF and when we are generating the public link, the copy text is converted into download.
Let's try it real quick. Yeah, we got some time, right?
Yeah.
Let me download a PDF here. I think I got one.
I would suggest go to Sitecore. There are some installation PDFs are there.
Oh, I got this one for my race that I did.
Okay.
So let's try this one. Good. Yeah, I haven't tried this, so let's see what happens. So this is created as an asset. Let's see. Here's the PDF. Okay, so let's do the review. So you, yes, this will be interesting. I assume it'll work the same, but let's find out. All right, so now it's approved. So it should be my assets. I don't get a preview, but still, it's okay. So, well, I don't know if it's waiting or. I don't have a thing for the public links. Gives me the download. I don't know if it might still be uploading into the system maybe, but
Okay.
oh, there we go. Or there's a preview. So let's see if I get the public links now. Yep. Okay. So there is a public links. It's not that fast, but all right. So we'll do this and see what happens. I'm curious, like what exactly happens. And the same thing should technically happen though, like with the assets and like the web methods, you should be able to actually grab that asset and upload it to any place you want. But let's see what happens. So it looks okay.
Yeah, I think there was something different. If you go back to the previous screen, when you see the link. So when you created the public link, if you click on that, yeah. So here, when we are seeing, we have multiple. Oh, I think, okay, I'll check it out because what we are trying to attach this item into Sitecore. So when we open, basically we open our media, try to attach the item, insert this link. And when we click on select, our copy text is automatically converted into download. So maybe that might be the feature. Need to check.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it seems to be okay here in this way. Huh, interesting. Do you have 4.03 though? Do you have the latest? I wonder if that's something they could change to or have changed.
Not sure. I'll need to check.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. But that's a good question. Oh, I should mention too, like when we go back to the campaign here. I like the campaign features, but one thing to keep in mind is you're editing. Let's see, let me go to edit. If you're used to the rich text in Sitecore, in Content Hub, there's not that much to it. So that is one limitation I found. Once it's in WordPress, you get a lot more options, but I found that they're like the editing and stuff is you don't have as many tools as you do like in Sitecore or whatever and WordPress. So hopefully this will keep getting updated, but it's a pretty limited editing tool. So it gives you paragraph and 3 headings. So I don't even think there's a thing for code or whatever. So, but yeah, I wanted to point that out. So in case it's good to have, but you might come across that. So, did you have any other questions?
I was going to say, like, that's why you need the developers, right?
Yeah.
Do the extra stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't find a place to edit that or change it and make it like the bigger, like the full rich text. So, and from what I understand, they don't have anything yet for that. So,
Right.
but hopefully, they're still updating it and it's moving along pretty well.
Yeah, it's a great platform. Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited about the new stuff with it, and it's just a matter of finding the right customers that they have a need for this and need to use it and stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
eventually it'll happen.
Yeah. We have 9 more minutes. Does anyone have any question? All right. Looks like we do not have any other question.
Okay.
And, all right. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you very much. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
No, thanks. Thanks for presenting this awesome session. We learned a lot. We learned about webmethods.io and content hub integration. So
Cool. The next time I gotta remember to click the edit button when I change those. I always forget that.
hey, that's why it's the presentation. It's not a recorded video, right? It's live.
Yeah.
The-
So
And that's the fun. Okay.
yeah,
So
exactly. Well, I appreciate it, guys, and it was good.
Great presentation, Rob.
Oh, thank you very
Yeah.
much. So,
thank you. Thanks everyone for joining this session. And we'll have next session next month, which is Maulik is going to present SXA and JSS. That's the plan. So
cool.
we'll let you know in the social media and through other means. Thank you, Rob. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of
Bye.
your week. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.